إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد.
The author said, إذا قيل لك ما الأصول الثلاثة التي يجب على الإنسان معرفتها فقل معرفة العبد ربه ودينه ونبيه محمدا. These are the three principles that you must know. If you're asked what are the matters, إذا قيل لك, if you're told what's the three principles التي يجب على الإنسان معرفتها, that every human is obligated to know, فقل معرفة العبد ربه, know your Lord, your religion, and your prophet. And as you can see, this is the core, this is the heart of the book. What we took so far in this chapter, early on when I said we started chapter 3, that's just the introduction to the heart of the book, which is the main part. What are the three principles in Arabic? It's called usul. That's what the book is named after. Usul means something which other things are built or founded or based on. Aslu shajara, the trunk of a tree where branches spring from. Aslu jidar, the wall, the foundation of it is aslu. Well, the author introduced this part of the book in a question form. He said, and if you are asked. And why did he do it like that, which he didn't do in the past 2 chapters? Because it's important, of course, and you wanted to draw attention like that. And it's a tactic used by writers, scholars, and ulama, the question and answer format. It's a change. It's a good style. It draws attention, gets your attention, instead of the systematical laying out of information that's used by many educators. So that's a good way to draw attention. I believe, however, the author initiated this portion of the booklet in a question and answer like format, unlike the previous 2 chapters where he could have said, and the 3 principles are, and he would have went ahead with it. The reason I believe he did that is possibly because these 3 questions, these 3 principles are the ones you're going to be asked about it. So it suits it that he brought it in a question form. Everyone's going to be asked about it. Every human being is going to be asked. Every jinn is going to be asked about it. And the answer is what will make the determination if one is rich or happy. When you're asked about them in the grave, it's in a Q&A form. It's in a Q&A style. So it's very thoughtful to start this section off by making it a question. Starting the chapter like that, or this section like that. So everyone needs to know these questions. Learned, illiterate, doesn't matter. Educated, layman. Happiness and failure in both worlds depends on these principles. يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ويضل الله الظالمين ويفعل الله ما يشاء. The verse we took earlier. These are the questions that your tawheed is based on. Memorizing them, anyone can memorize them. We would have only had to do 5 minutes in the first class and we would have been done if that was all tawheed. Memorizing these questions is part of it. Applying them, living by them, and dying by them, that's the tawheed that we want. That's the kind of tawheed we want. That's why the author didn't just say here, say there's these 3 principles. He gave a strong introduction before he mentioned the 3 principles. Remember we talked about Hanifiyya Millat Ibraheem and the importance of the just earlier today, how important Tawheed is and how dangerous Shirk is. If you get nothing, like I said, out of Tawheed except that you say it on your deathbed, La ilaha illallah, then you've succeeded. You've got a lot, you've got all you needed. That's the biggest change right there. And if you live by it and you die by it, and you go and pass over the first hurdle in this life, the first hurdle is the grave of the life after. The first hurdle, إن القبر أول منزل من منازل الآخرة فإن نجا منه فما بعده أيسر منه وإن لم ينجو منه فما بعده أشد منه. In Sunan al-Tirmidhi, the grave is the first hurdle or the first stage of the hereafter. Whoever saved from it, whatever comes after will be easier. But if he's not saved from it, whatever comes after is going to even be worse. So you pass the first hurdle in this life when you said La ilaha illallah on your deathbed, inshallah we all say it. Now the second hurdle, which is in the first stage of the life after. The Prophet ﷺ said, I've never seen a scene, but the grave is more frightening than it. The grave. Tawheed is your way out of it. Tawheed is your means to get through it. Tawheed, and namely these three questions. In the grave, these three questions in the grave, these three questions are like the relationship between a heart and a body as pertaining to your life in the grave, the life of the barzakh. Just like the status of a well-being of the body depends on a healthy heart, كالعلاقة بين القلب والجسد, the status and well-being of the life after depends on what happens in the grave with those questions. If it's good, the questions, if you pass, whatever's after is better. If not, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, whatever's after is worse. When the most cherished loved ones put the dirt over the deceased hears the footsteps of those walking away, and two angels come and they sit him and ask him. And at this point, your means of rescue in the stomach of the earth, lonely, in the grave, under the dirt, is Tawheed. What you did in Tawheed. After the soul's restored to the body, the fearsome, the scary angels, Munkar and Nakir, they come for interrogation. They sit someone up and they ask him, who's your Lord? The believing soul will say, my Lord is Allah. What's your religion? And this is al-usul al-thalatha. What's your religion? My religion is Islam. Who is the man who was sent amongst you? And it's Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Quickly goes over him. He studied Tawheed. He lived by Tawheed. He died by Tawheed. That's the first stage. If he's healthy in that stage, then that's it. After that, it's going to be better. Then they will ask him, how did you get this knowledge? What was the source of your knowledge? And he will reply, I have read Allah's book, I believed in it, and I declared it to be true. That portion of the hadith is in Sahih Bukhari. Now, if he's among the evil ones, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, who's your Lord? I don't know. Alas, I don't know. What's your religion? I don't know. Nas'alullah as-salama. What about the messenger? Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I don't know. Now, no, he doesn't know. But look what he says. He says, I don't know. But I used to say what the people used to say. I used to say what people used to say. And it will be told to him, you didn't know, nor did you take the guidance, meaning the guidance of the Quran. The people who pass will be told, look at your place in hellfire. Allah has given you, and they will see an opening in the grave, then Allah will they will see their place in paradise, and they will be told that's what's awaiting you. The dead person will be both righteous and not righteous, will see both places. The non-believer, after not answering, will be hit with an iron hammer between his ears, and with a force that's so violent that it'll crumble a mountain, and he will cry. And that cry will be heard by everything, whatever approaches him, except a human being and jinn. A call is then heard from heaven. He lied, spread out the carpets of hell for him, and take him to his place in hell. Nas'alullah as-salama. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر اللهم نجنا من عذاب القبر اللهم أعذنا من عذاب القبر. Then after that, ugly beings wearing ugly garments and giving out foul, offensive orders come to the disbelieving soul, and they say, be grieved with what displeases you. And of course, the opposite is true for the righteous. Be grieved with that which displeases you. This is the day that you have been promised. This is the day we told you about. And he's going to ask, who are you? Who are you? Your face is so ugly. It looks like evil. And that person will say, I am your wicked deeds. Of course, to the believer, we don't want to go through the whole hadith. The believer, the opposite is true. النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا ويوم تقوم الساعة أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. They are exposed to the fire morning and afternoon. And on that day, when the hour will be established, when the judgment day is there, Pharaoh and his people will be entering the severest punishment. عن عائشة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن للقبر ضغط لو كان أحد ناجيا منها لنجا منها سعد بن معاذ. The grave has a squeeze. If anyone was to be relieved from it, would have been Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. The man, Bukhari and Muslim, Prophet ﷺ says, اهتز عرش الرحمن لموت سعد. The throne of Allah shook for his death. He lived from 30 to 36 in Islam. He died 36 years old. 6 years was his age in Islam. 70,000 angels were in his funeral procession. Allah's throne shook from when he died. If anyone was to be relieved from that squeeze, it would be Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. Scary, terrifying. But what's slightly comforting is what Abu al-Qasim al-Sa'di in his book Al-Ruh said, no one's relieved from the squeeze of the grave except the righteous. They get a simple squeeze and then it's eased. But the disbelievers will get an ongoing, everlasting, powerful squeeze. Life in Tawheed, living on it, surviving on it, and dying on it so you can be resurrected on it is our goal, inshallah.